day, football fans. Welcome to another edition of the High School Lowdown, Vicksburg Post football preview show. Alongside my well-dressed twin, Corey Gunkel, I'm Ernest Boker, and we're going to take you through an exciting slate of games this week. First up on the rundown this week is St. Aloysius hitting the road to take on Ray Brooks up in, I believe, Benoit, Mississippi. I probably pronounced that wrong. I apologize to our viewers in Benoit or wherever, NY. But it's one of those games we've talked about with St. Al. Ray Brooks not a very good team, but it's not one you can mess around with. It's one you got to come in and take care of business.
Right, you got to get a win on the road. But, I mean, St. Al's poised to do that right now. They're playing really good football on the offensive side of the ball. DeMichael Harris had over 100 yards again this week. He looks really good. And then on top of that, you know, their line, which is just ridiculously good, is just playing really well, and they're poised to get a win.
Right on the line, Drake Dorbeck was selected, the only Class 1A player selected to the Mississippi-Alabama All-Star game this week. Nice feather in the cap. Congratulations, Drake. And this is the last game for St. Al, or one of the last ones before they hit the really tough part of the schedule. They got Shaw coming in next week, which is going to be a big game. Greenville, St. Joe at the back end. So, again, like we said, one that you can't mess around. You got to win.
Absolutely.
Up next is Porter's Chapel Academy welcoming Benton Academy into town from around Yazoo City. And somehow, some way, Porter's Chapel, their playoff hopes just refuse to die. They're like a cockroach when it comes to that. They're 1-6, but creeping up on the PowerPoint rankings somehow they bumped up, even though they lost 51-14. Fuzzy math, I don't know how it works, but so if they win this one, they're in pretty good shape.
Yeah, and like you said, which is a big if, especially with the numbers that they have. You know, dressing out 16 guys and having to play a team that has substantially more players is always tough. But, you know, Porter's Chapel, they've competed in a lot of their games this year. It's just turnovers, bad penalties, and then special teams miscues that have just haunted them all year.
Right, and, you know, Benton's a pretty good team, but like you said, Porter's Chapel's competed. They've had 3 games that they probably should have won if they get away from them. So if they can just find a way to put it together for 4 quarters, they might be able to still pull out a win, sneak in there.
Yeah, and I think it's just striking first. They need to getting on the board first. I think has been a problem for them this year, and just building that momentum. If they can do that, you know, they have a shot.
Right, and of course keep the other team from scoring last, which has also been a problem in the 4th quarter. So. And up next is Vicksburg High School welcoming Ridgeland into town. And Vicksburg got stomped pretty good last week by a good Germantown team. They really need a rebound this week.
Yeah, this is the first region home game for Vicksburg, so that's always big. And Coach Marcus Rogers, he said that he's not only simplifying the playbook even more so than he already has in the past couple weeks, but he's also bringing up about 10 freshmen onto the varsity team to kind of give him a little bit of an injection of life. And he said to keep in mind Mike Sims. He said he can play corner, he can play running back, and he can basically do it all. He said he's going to get a lot of playing time, and Vicksburg really needs a win right now to climb over that 500 mark, and I think they're going to get one this week if they can just limit the turnovers and play solid football on the offensive side.
Right, he said the turnover's huge for them. They've had a lot of them, and it kind of that's something that always shows up in the box score in points.
Right.
You know, usually, especially in the high school ranks, they lead to points, and that's how you get behind. That's how you lose ball games. So if they can cut those out, they'll probably be in decent shape.
Right, and Ridgeland's a team that doesn't beat themselves, so Vicksburg is going to have to limit as many mistakes as possible to go out and get a win.
And finally, our game of the week is Warren Central welcoming Madison Central in the Viking Stadium. Huge game for both teams. Warren Central is undefeated still, creeping up in the Associated Press polls. Madison Central, the reigning champ, or one of them, really the reigning juggernaut. And this is not just this is a big game on a lot of levels for Warren Central. Madison's beaten them 8 times in a row. Warren Central hadn't won since 2005. And it's almost a mental thing. I think if Warren Central can clear this hurdle, it's going to do wonders for them the next few weeks.
Yeah, and they've kept it close. You know, we talked about this a little bit earlier. Every year it seems like, you know, the box score doesn't really reflect how close these games have been between these two teams. And Warren Central is a team that they do get out early and establish leads, and they're good at holding on to leads. If they can do that, and especially with that bruising run game that they have, control the clock and strike first, they have a really good shot at snatching a win here.
Right, and Warren Central, Madison Central, the last 3 years it's been tied or within a touchdown going into the 4th quarter. Last year, Warren Central had them dead to rights and let them get off the hook. So I know that this is one that they really want badly, but it's also the first of really a gauntlet that they have to run. They got Murrah next week, who's 6-1. Clinton, who's 5-1 the week after that, and then the big one with Starkville at the end of the month.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a weird vibe here. Even if they win this one, as big as it would be for them on all those levels we talked about, it really doesn't mean anything because you got to go out and do it again next week and the week after that and the week after that. So it's really just the first step toward a region championship.
Yeah, it's kind of like they play in the SEC West right now, just going back to back to back and having to play all these really, really good teams. But this is the start. And if you want to spark that run, this is the one you've got to have.
That's right. Thanks for clicking on this edition of High School Lowdown. For live scoring updates on Friday night, check us out on Twitter at Vicks Post Sports. That's VIXPOSTSPORTS. Or online after the game on our website, VicksburgPost.com. Or go the old-fashioned route and check out your newsstand, convenience store, or wherever you get a newspaper, and just buy an old print copy. For Corey Gunkel, I'm Ernest Bowler.